Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Rita Septiliana and my student ID is 2400305000075. Today, I'm going to present my journal review entitled Advantage of Using Short Stories in ELT Classroom and the Libyan EFL learners perspection toward them for developing reading comprehension skill written by Mustafa Mubarak Tapan. Okay, let's start. Hmm. Implication, implicit assumption. Implicit assumption. First, the use of short stories offers material that is real, creative, and rich in language selection, as well as amusing and motivational in nature. Fatan 2030 v 28. Implicit assumption, interesting and authentic learning material are automatically considered more effective in improving student language skill. Second, most of the Libyan EFL learners regard reading comprehension as a difficult and boring course. Fatan 20, 2030 v 2035 implicit assumption reading difficulties are not caused by student ability but by inappropriate methods and learning material. Next, diagram of metacognitive application. Uh, First, planning. Planning set reading goals and select stories that make student abilities activate prior knowledge relative to topic before reading. Second, monitoring. Monitoring be aware of one's understanding while reading, identify difficult parts, and try to boost meaning from the context. Third, evaluating. Evaluating reflect on comprehension after reading, summarize the main ideas, moral message, and new vocabulary learned. Conclusion, the metacognitive approach helps students control their own thinking process, making reading more active, conscious, and enjoyable. Okay, now I'm going to review the article that I have chosen. Okay, the article is titled Advantage of Using Short Stories in ALT Classroom and the Libyan or EFL Learners' Perspective Toward Them for Developing Readings Comprehension Skill written by Mustafa Mubarak Fatan. Okay, first, why I chose this article? I chose this article because it discusses a very relevant topic in the field of English language teaching, the use of short stories to develop reading comprehension skill. As an English education student, I have often found that many learners perceive reading English text as difficult and boring. The authors of this article identifies a similar problem among Libyan students. Therefore, I found this study interesting because it shows how short stories can make reading lesson more engaging, meaningful, and effective. In addition, I believe that literary work such as short stories should not be separated from language learning. Science literature provides living, contextual, and emotionally engaging example of language use. Okay. Second, the most important thing I learned. The most important thing I learned from this article is that short stories have numerous, numerous benefits in language learning. The author explained that short stories. Mind point one help students improve their vocabulary and understanding of language structure. Mind point two motivate learners because the content is interesting and easy to follow. 9.3 provide authentic example of how language is used in real life context. Okay, beside their linguist beside their linguistic benefits, so stories also over personal and emotional advantage. Students can emphasize with the character, understand moral values, and reflect on their own lives through the stories they read. Okay, Fatan studies show that before using short stories, most Libyan students considered reading to be difficult and boring. However, after 3 months of learning through short stories, 9, 9 94% of the students report that they enjoy reading. This demonstrates that engaging and meaningful materials can significantly change student attitudes towards learning English. Okay. Third, my thought and question. After reading this article, I began to think about how this method could be applied in the Indonesia context. Many Indonesian students face similar difficulties in reading English text. I believe that using short stories can be an effective solution to improve student motivation and interest in reading. I also realize the important role of teachers. Teachers should be able to select stories that suit student language proficiency and cultural background so that reading activities become more effective and enjoyable. Furthermore, I think English language curricula at universities should give more space for literature because literature not only help students learn the language but also shape their character, empathy, and cultural awareness. Okay. In conclusion, this article demonstrates that the use of short stories is highly effective in developing student reading comprehension skill and increasing their motivation to learn English. Short story enrich student language proficiency while also teaching moral, cultural, and human values. For me, this article is very inspiring because it reminds you as future English teachers that we should not only teach the language but also teach with heart through stories that are touching, engaging, and meaningful. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.